slow, yeah, 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 you know the way it comes.
My name is Party Paul, and I'm here to rule them all. My name is Party Paul, and I'm here to rule them all.
My name is Party Paul, and I have a plan to rule them all.
Fuck.
My name is Party Paul, and I have a plan to rule them all.
Fuck. Pussy. Pussy. Fuck. Shit. Fuck. Fuck. Pussy. Pussy. Shit. Fuck. Pussy. Goddamn. Shit. Goddamn. Pussy. Goddamn. Shit. Goddamn.
Bitches, cocaine on my dick, snort it all up till you can't see shit. Hold to the left of me, hold to the right. You know damn well I'm fucking tonight. Bitches, cocaine on my dick, snort it all up till you can't see shit. Hold to the left of me, hold to the right. You know damn well I'm fucking tonight.
My name is Party Paul, and I'm here to rule them all.
My name is Party Paul, and I have a plan to rule them all.
My name is Party Paul, and I'm here to rule them all.
My name is Party Paul.
Break it down, take it back, make it go real slow, yeah, 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 you know the way it goes. Break it down, take it back, make it go real slow, yeah, 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 you know the way it goes. Break it down, take it back, make it go real slow, yeah, 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 you know the way it goes. Break it down, take it back, make it go real slow, yeah, 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 you now take it down, take it.
Bitches, cocaine on my dick, snort it all up till you can't see shit. Hold to the left of me, hold to the right. You know damn well I'm fucking tonight. Bitches, cocaine on my dick, snort it all up till you can't see shit. Hold to the left of me, hold to the right. You know damn well I'm fucking tonight.
Darn it, because when you crash, right, it doesn't save the cache, so it had us on our default preloader settings, so you didn't even hear anything we said. Yeah, you were just trying to say that it didn't make sense that they were executing them and not Grindelwald for like their infraction.
Why did they try to execute Newt's commander, but they didn't, they just put Grindelwald in prison.
Yeah, and
Doesn't
to
make
re-answer,
any sense.
the music was a Party Theme featuring Party Paul by Verbank. Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, I think that one did enough right that the rule of cool can apply. Right.
Yeah, I guess.
Like the problems were very minor. And also the rules for what they did and didn't do made very little sense in any of the Harry Potter before that when it came to the different ministries and stuff like that, that I don't even think too many people are going to think that much about it. But they didn't do enough right in the sequel for the rule of cool to apply at all.
Yeah.
And also, thank you, Buck, for letting us know that my audio settings had reset.
That we were.
We were enjoying a conversation, but the chat wasn't.
Yeah, for some reason the link didn't go out to the new YouTube.
Yeah, I know. That's weird. Sometimes it doesn't if they're that close, I guess, with Restream. The Twitter live stream went back out. And I don't know. But that's because it's live on Twitter, so that's just counting a new stream.
Yeah. I'm just tweeting it with the link.
Yeah, I'll retweet that.
Tag you in that. All right.
But yeah, back to the original point. I think an open world wizarding game could be kind of fun. I know a lot of people enjoyed the... What's it called? Pokemon Go ripoff game. Which I personally would not have played because I didn't even really like Pokemon Go all that much. But there was a Hogwarts walking game that was also built off of like the Neontic structure.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, are you talking about the Pikmin game? That one's terrible.
No, there was a Hogwarts one
wow.
that a lot of people. I don't know if it was called like Hogwarts Legacy or something like that, but it was It was pretty popular. I saw a lot of people talking about it for not quite as long as Pokemon Go, but there were people talking about it for like a good 3 or 4 months straight. Though as popular as Harry Potter is, it's also not Pokemon, which is single-handedly the most popular franchise of all time.
Yeah. Because Chozo wants a Metroidvania Harry Potter game.
I would play that.
There is a Lego Harry Potter game, which is sort of, has some Metroidvania type aspects to it.
Well, it's like the old PlayStation Harry Potter games for like Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets were kind of like that in a way. Their platforming was awful, but they were similar to like how 3D games tried to execute the Metroidvania style back in the day, where Hogwarts itself was kind of built like an open world area, but it wasn't, because you had to go through the story or the game and unlock different spells to get past things. Like you needed the fire spell to burn down vines and stuff that were blocking areas. So if you took something like that and actually made it into a faster paced side-scrolling Metroidvania style game, I'd actually probably have a lot of fun with that.
Well,
yeah.
Start contacting the people that make those games, I guess.
Well, I think more importantly, you have to start contacting. Well, maybe you have to do twofold, because WB probably wouldn't be up for making the game unless there was already a studio that wanted to make it. But you'd also have to convince WB, because they're the one that handles the licensing for that.
Yeah.
You had to pester at least 2 different people at once.
Well, good luck.
Yeah.
Or you just have to make your own game, change all the names, and just make it however you like.
Well, that's how you start, right? You make a game that's like Harry Potter with original games as a playable demo, and then once you have something that's working, is popular, you send that to WB and be like, hey, I could easily just make this a Harry Potter game. Look, it's practically one already.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if they say no, hey, you've got an original property that you can just finish. It's a win-win situation.
Have to change the names of all the spells.
That's easy. Oh, actually, you know what? Half the spells you wouldn't have to, because they're basically just Latin anyway. It's only like the original stuff that you have to like. If you put Incendio in a game, it literally is just like Latin for fire, like to incinerate. There's nothing they can do about that. Now, if you use some like the special stuff, which all of it's like plagiarized bullshit anyway. Avada Kedavra is just like a scarier sounding version of Abracadabra. Like that stuff you'd have to change and take out of the game. But would you really, trying to do a proper Harry Potter game, even have that as an available option anyway? Maybe the bad guys would throw it out, but good guys don't use that. Especially kids don't use that. Oh, you know it's also the worst part too? I was about to tab over to Brave to check about the stories that I had pulled up.
Oh, no.
Let's see if I open Brave, if it actually saved the session. I'm going to say maybe not because it crashed. Let's see. Oh. Restore pages? Yes! Okay, I do have all the stories I pulled up.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good, because I can't find anything.
There wasn't a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Except for Pokemon Go players share the Pokemon they despise the most.
Really? What is they? I don't know what people despise in Pokemon. There are Pokemon that I think are kind of like lamer than others, but I can't think of a single one I outright despise.
This person on Reddit says Yanma, the dragonfly.
Oh, Yanma? Yeah. Yanma's cool.
He says
Especially
on top of being
Mega Yanma. Have you seen Mega Yanma? Mega Yanma's badass.
Well, apparently in Pokemon Go, it's not very good because it says on top of being useless, it's hella hard to catch because it's always moving and its catch circle is always orange-red.
Okay, so these are not Pokemon Go players just specifically talking about Pokemon that they just like it's within the realm of playing Pokemon Go. Okay, then I have no input on this.
Yeah. Apparently, Dunsparce is difficult to catch as well, and Sudowoodo can kick your Pokeball back at you.
I like that. I like that a
interesting.
lot. Well, because that actually happened in the anime when they tried to catch one. Like I think Ash threw a Pokemon and he actually swiped it with his freaking branch or whatever.
That's awesome. Yeah.
What would be even cooler? I would like to see a Pokemon you try to catch it, and it used substitute, and you accidentally caught the substitute instead because you had bad timing. That would be funny.
Yeah. I've caught Dittos in Pokemon Go before. They look like some other Pokemon. You catch it. It's like,
Yeah,
what's
they
that?
just had like the
Oh, it's
Ditto
a Ditto.
face, or
No, it looks exactly like some other Pokemon.
okay. So
But-
so Pokemon Go is usually more like the other games than it is the anime. So that is how it works in the games. I wouldn't have been surprised if they wanted to pull a joke from the anime where like there's the Ditto face.
Yeah. No, you can't tell. You can't tell
Okay.
until after you catch it. But then, I don't. It may even be. It might have even been like an event for a
Maybe.
while, where like 1 in every 100 Pokemon you caught was a Ditto for a while. I don't remember. I haven't played that game in so long.
I like the lore behind Ditto because it's kind of a failed attempt at Mewtwo. Like, if you actually go back to the first game and look at it, where you catch Ditto are in the manor at Cinnabar Island, which is where the experiments were done, where they were trying to replicate Mew. And then they are also in the same cave that you catch Mewtwo in. And it's like kind of assuming that they were failed cloning experiments, and that's why they have the ability to transform. Mew also has the ability to use transform in the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mew can transform. Like,
Yep, it's the only
Does it
other
actually
Pokemon that has the ability to have transform in the original game. And technically Mew's code was in the game, but he wasn't. There was an event to unlock him. So it's debatable whether Mew is in the game or not. But if you count him, he's the only other Pokemon than Ditto that has the ability to use transform.
Huh.
And if Ditto was a failed attempt at making Mewtwo, that would make sense. So
yeah.
aside from, I think technically Mewtwo can, but also one of like the things about Mewtwo was that he has just as much limited skills that he can learn as any other Pokemon naturally. But when it comes to teaching him, you could teach like any TM to Mewtwo. Like he wasn't restricted on which TMs you could teach. Which makes sense because he was an attempt to make the ultimate Pokemon.
But that's just a theory.
Yeah.
A game theory.
Essentially a sexual parasite shapeshifter. Listen, I don't think a sexual parasite, but Ditto is used as many people's whore. So they literally call it a breeding slut or breeding whore. That's the only reason you catch Ditto, right? The only reason you catch Ditto is for breeding, because one, it takes a whole turn to transform, right? So you're already taking damage in that turn anyway to waste it, just to get somebody else's moves. You still rely on Ditto's stats, so you're probably going to get beat by the other Pokemon anyway. So why would you put yourself a turn behind for a weaker version of the same Pokemon? No, nobody actually used Ditto for anything until the second generation when breeding was a thing, because Ditto could breed with any Pokemon.
Well, is it so? There's no Ditto where it would have higher stats than whatever it changed into.
Well, so here's the thing: you can EV, but you can't IV a Ditto ever, right? Well, maybe you can. Technically, you could have two Dittos make a Ditto, but the problem is Ditto's base stats are just low, no matter what you do to it. Like it doesn't matter which Pokemon you have Ditto fight against to increase the EVs. It doesn't matter even later if you were to breed two Ditto together to get better IV. Ditto's stats just suck. It's the thing about being Ditto. And I think even Game Freak recognizes, like, yeah, the only reason this Pokemon keeps getting caught by people is A, it's in the Pokedex, so they need for completion, and B, it's just the guaranteed breeding slut. You can breed any Pokemon with it.
Interesting.
But yeah, even to make another Ditto, it'd have to basically be Ditto on Ditto, because when you use Ditto with another Pokemon, whether the Pokemon's male or female, it's always guaranteed to be that Pokemon, because Ditto just transforms into them for the sake of breeding.
Yep. Fascinating. And the baby is always the other type of Pokemon, right?
Always. There's never a Ditto baby.
Unless you breed two Dittos together?
I think. I actually don't know if you can. I've never tried. I used to be very up on very specific stuff about Pokemon, but that is something even going back to Gen 2, I've never looked into, because I don't know why on earth anyone would ever want to breed a Ditto.
It can, a Ditto cannot breed with itself.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
with another Ditto. It's Google says cannot breed with itself, but I think they mean with another Ditto.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like who would even try that? Other than like somebody who's like, I guess if you're ultra curious, you're just like, okay, time to test every single breeding combination in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just, it always ends up the other Pokemon because Ditto just transforms.
So how do they reproduce? By budding?
Maybe. Maybe when it says can't breed with itself, it's serious. What if all Ditto are just the same Ditto?
They're all just broken off.
There was one failed experiment before Mewtwo, and it just mitosis everywhere.
Yeah, it's like Terminator 2. It can, break apart into different, or they can all come together into a Mega Ditto.
Oh my god, that would be a great thing to see in like a follow-up live-action Pokemon movie, right? So I don't want more Detective Pikachu. I just want to make another live-action Pokemon movie in the universe. I would love to see like the Torterra that were mountain-sized to just like a Mega Ditto be a problem in the movie. That would be amazing.
Yeah, if they're like all Dittos are actually the same Ditto. Yeah, apparently Dittos can breed with non-sexual Pokemon.
Yeah, they're the only ones that can.
Yeah, it's like Shuckle, right? It's the only way to make a new Shuckle. Or and also like legendaries, you can breed more legendaries.
Yeah, so here's the thing. That also depends. That was something that was like mostly later, right? You couldn't do that like Gen 2, but after that, there are almost no legendaries that have a gender. I think Heatran is one of the few ones that actually has a sex. But almost all of them are like sexless, right? Yeah. And Ditto, if for the ones that can breed, is the only way to breed them because they're sexless. Yeah. They kind of fall into that first category. Maybe more of them have sexes now. Heatran is the first one that I remember that had a sex.
I think I've had enough talk about Pokemon sex.
Well, I mean, right before we switch to the next thing, the most interesting tidbit about Pokemon sex is that Rule 34 happens on Route 34 in Gen 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that's the Pokemon Breeding Center is on Route 34. Or the Pokemon daycare. We just call it the breeding center because nobody leaves it there for experience. There's only one reason your Pokemon are there.
Is that where Rule 34 came from?
I actually don't know why Rule 34 is 34. It could just be a happy coincidence, though that game does go back to earlier times on the internet. So maybe I don't know if anybody knows why they chose that. Because you got to remember, what is it? Everything before it's like rules 1 through 33 don't exist. Like that is like the rule, or So Rule 34 is like the first real rule. That might be why they picked it. I don't know. Can't tell you.
I wouldn't put it past whoever decided that.
Yeah. I think it was like a 4chan thing, or I don't remember when the rules first appeared.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Weird.
Let's see. What else we got? Well, here's an interesting story that came out like in an interview not too long ago. Or it was not it was a Q&A session for a book signing with Reggie's Fils-Aimé. Everybody likes Reggie, right? And he was talking about this infamous Smash event that happened where he played against former, or not, well, actually, he's still a pro player, but Melee champ Hungrybox, right? Big player. Everybody knows who Hbox is. And there was this big match between him and Reggie, and because Hungrybox came up and challenged him, he's like, I trash at Smash, you know, and they ended up playing, and he was going to have even like a rematch and everything. And he went to Nintendo for help, right? And he's like, hey, can you help me get better at Smash for when I play against Hungrybox? And apparently, Nintendo offered no help to Reggie whatsoever. They could have even just like, you know, hey, you are the president of our company. This might actually be a good publicity thing to have you play against a pro player or whatever. They could have like set him up with Sakurai to just like sit there and play the game for a bit. They know each other. No, just no help, no insight, whatever. He just had to go against Hungrybox solo, having zero Smash skill whatsoever.
Wasn't Hungrybox banned or something? I thought he was one of those Smash players that was banned from competitions.
No. Hbox is cool. Everybody likes him. Well, everybody likes him now. They hated him at first, back in Melee, but that is not part of it. Was his personality. He was kind of a arrogant, abrasive guy to a degree, but you know, when you're winning all the time, you can kind of afford to be. Yeah. He's cooler now. He's got a pretty fun personality, but it was mainly because he played Jigglypuff, and everybody hates Jigglypuff. I mean, yeah. If you've ever played against a good Jigglypuff, you would hate Jigglypuff too. She's floaty. Yeah. She's just in the air all the time, flying circles around. You can't even hit her. Sure, she dies in like one shot, but she can also like kill you in one shot too if she gets like a rest combo off. So I understand why people used to hate him, but since then he's become a very lovable part of the Smash community. He's considered one of the more wholesome people that people tend to watch do anything.
You obviously didn't see this story.
Oh, did something happen with him recently?
Yeah, July 16th of this year, Hungrybox permanently banned from all future St. Louis Melee events.
What did he do in St. Louis?
He attended after a positive COVID test.
Oh, okay. So, you know, it wasn't even that bad. Yeah. Okay. I get it. I wouldn't even say that's more controversial than it should be. Yeah.
Well, he said he woke up the morning of the tournament and threw up blood. And they said that it was either COVID or a bacterial infection, which I don't think that throwing up blood is a sign of COVID.
I don't think so. Well, it could.
I mean,
depends what color was the blood, right? Because if it was a respiratory infection, if there's a little black in that, it could be from the infection. I doubt it, but I mean, it's possible.
He stupidly tweeted about it. That was the problem. Because he like got antibiotics and steroids or something, and then he went and competed, and then he tweeted about how he went to the thing sick, and of course people were like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, like that's the thing too. Is like I understand hardcore competition. This guy always wants to win. I don't care what you have. You probably shouldn't be going to a packed center full of people that tight while being sick. That just sounds like a big no-no.
Yeah, seems a bit much to say you're permanently banned. I mean,
it's also, I don't know, have you ever been to St. Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah, the people there are kind of already a little crazy as it is.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm not surprised that they gave him a permanent ban.
That's the one that's halfway in Missouri and halfway in Kentucky, right?
It might
Isn't
be.
it on
I don't know.
the
I've been to St. Louis. My grandparents are there, but I
That's
don't
where
know
the
if it's
arch
halfway in
is,
Ken-
right?
Yeah, that's where the arch is. Is that halfway in
Yeah,
Kentucky? Oh, I didn't know that. I know it's pretty close.
It straddles the river, I guess the Mississippi. And on one half of the river, it's in Missouri. The other half, it's Kentucky.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly Missouri. St. Louis is
Yeah.
mostly in Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, last time I was there, I visited my grandparents. They live in a condo where my grandpa can see the stadium. The whole reason they moved there is because he was a Cardinals fan. And the extent of going through the town, aside from that, getting in and out, was there was a White Castle like 2 blocks down the street. And if I'm next to a White Castle, I have to get some. So it's like, that's kind of cool to know that it straddles.
I have never eaten at White Castle in my life.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm not going to say you're missing anything because
Not once.
I'm not even going to say they're that good. I just have a personal affinity for them. But yeah.
But yeah, I've been up in the arch and everything.
Oh, cool.
I've seen the stadium, but I didn't go to a Cardinals game.
Yeah. I did interact with some people there though, and aside from the person who lived in the building that opened the door for us, that was pretty cool. Most of the other people seemed really up their own butts.
It's weird for kind of a flyover town like St. Louis. Doesn't seem like they'd be that way. But Budweiser's there too, right?
Are they?
Budweiser factory. I think so.
It might be.
Their headquarters or whatever. Maybe I'm thinking of Busch. I don't know.
Maybe.
Some
I don't normally
big
keep
beer.
tabs on where all the beer company headquarters and factories are.
Yeah. I just remember because I went there. Actually went there for the specific purpose of sightseeing.
Oh,
So
okay.
let's go to Missouri, or let's go to St. Louis because we've never been to St. Louis before. This was
Well, that
like
that
10
makes a
years-
lot more sense. The second one, I could see some St. Louis. Oh, dang it, my audio is messing up.
Is it just the audio? Whoa. More technical problems. Like we're moving around, but the sound is weird. Damn you, computers. I wonder how it sounds.
There I am. I have no idea why I'm having so many technical
Really?
difficulties today.
Okay.
It just doesn't like me.
Apparently,
Today's
yeah.
a bad day.
You could have heard me, but not you.
Oh yeah, you were fine. It was just my microphone disappeared out of nowhere. I had to unplug it and plug it back in again for my computer to register that it was even a thing. I was saying,
So anyway, yeah.
I could totally see somebody saying, I want to go and visit St. Louis. Like that makes sense. Somebody broadly saying, I want to go see Missouri, though, I couldn't even fathom.
Yeah, I guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was more like we've never been up in the arch. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd probably go back, but I definitely would want to go back in the middle of the week. I wouldn't want to be there on the weekend. I feel like that would be a horrible time to be there, or during a no. If I go directly during the baseball game, it wouldn't be bad. I just
Yeah.
need to make sure that I'm not on the streets before or after the game.
So, did Hungrybox beat Reggie? That's my question.
Oh yeah, he creamed him. Like absolutely, not even close. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about like
Just knew
a Smash World Champion in Melee several times, to the point that he had the title of Smash God for a while. There's like the 3 gods of Smash. I think even the most he ever had was 5, and it's somebody who outright admitted, "I suck at Smash." Like it was not even close. Yeah. I was just like, Nintendo, why did you not help your NA president out? Like, I don't get it.
Was he the president at the time?
Yeah, he was the president of Nintendo of America, I think, at the time of the event.
Weird.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have.
Yeah.
Seems like he could have. I mean, I guess not in Japan, but I mean, it seems like he could have found someone in America at Nintendo that could like teach him where he can order them
I think
to.
he got help from some of the people in the treehouse, but
Oh,
those people weren't particularly
exactly
good at the game
Sakurai.
either. Yeah. They're just like, no, he's going to wipe the floor with you. There's nothing we can do. Let it happen. That's literally the people at the treehouse said is like, no, he's going to wipe the floor with you.
he could have reached out to like Twitch streamers.
Yeah.
Be like, somebody let me on your stream and show me how to play this game.
And apparently the other thing that they surprised him with was that he thought he was, because this was for the Wii U game, right? When Smash 4 came out. Say he was going to be playing with the Wii U controller because, the Wii U was launching that year and he had to practice on his own with a Wii U controller. And he wasn't expecting to be handed a GameCube controller on the day of the highly anticipated battle, because they had also announced recently that they were launching a GameCube adapter with the game so people could play with their GameCube controllers, and he hadn't picked up a GameCube controller in years.
Yeah.
While Hungrybox has been playing like Melee and stuff this entire time, still with a GameCube controller.
Yeah. I can't remember. Did we compare the Steam Deck and the Wii U controller?
I think you did. I think you pulled it out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think also, even before that, whether you pulled it out, we read an article where somebody actually had it next to a bunch of things, and the Wii U controller was one of it. So we had it up on screen for people to see. Now, I don't know how what Reggie can go years without picking up a GameCube controller. As far as I'm understanding, this is still the best controller ever made, and I will fight people to the death for it. Especially because like all these buttons are different shapes, so you don't even have to be looking. You can feel which one you're touching.
And that one's for the Switch, huh?
Oh yeah. This is a Switch modified one, but it's got like original button styles. Even like the L and R on the top. They just took the Z button from this side and they just made a reverse one for the other side. And
Oh, cool.
yeah.
It's amazing. Oh, CF is Jozo. Thanks for dropping by.
I think everybody should always have a GameCube controller on them. It's ridiculous that you don't.
I don't have one.
Yeah.
I used to have a GameCube.
Yeah.
Got stolen. Tell you what, if you ever have like a whole bunch of consoles, don't put them all in the same box in your car.
Yeah, probably. Especially with how
like,
much like retro consoles go for. That is a target right there.
NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, I think a Wii U, all in the same box. One snag, all gone. Oh well.
Okay, I'm going to leave them right next to the box of identical dummy consoles that don't have any components in them. They won't know which one to steal.
Yeah. I saw someone, was it someone on our server was showing off an SNES that they have.
I don't know.
It might have been Chad.
I know Chad was showing off his Switch that he got recently. I don't know if it was in the same thing. I watched the video for a while and like, okay, this is all the stuff you just told me that you had, but I'll give you a like.
Well, someone was showing me their SNES, and it was very yellow.
My SNES is very yellow. And I can tell you exactly why. Smokers.
Oh, well, they do that anyway. I mean,
Well, they do over time with dust, but mine has been very, very yellow since the 90s because of smokers.
yeah.
Right? Because
Well-
the dust collecting from the smoke interacting with the plastic has caused it to kind of retrograde or whatever, cause it to be yellow a lot faster than if you just let it sit out in the open. Our consoles used to be in the garage, which was half of it was split into a den back in the day, and that was also where my dad would sleep and everybody would go out to smoke. So also our NES is kind of stained yellow as well, in the same way that like walls are stained yellow from smoke.
Yeah, no, you know who it was? It was my friend Kawai Chibi Konako, who's a live streamer, who was, I wanted to share this real quick. Here's his SNES. Well,
Yeah,
apparently,
mine looks very much like that.
yeah. Does that look familiar?
Yeah.
It's funny that it must be a different kind of plastic in this
Oh,
area
yeah.
because that stays white while the rest turns yellow.
Well, yeah. So his is also, or hers. What would you say? Kawaii Chibi
Theirs.
Konako, whatever. Theirs.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is also just a lot less yellow than mine. And
Oh,
this is
really?
actually how you know smoke was involved, because over time you will still get, if there are smokers, you'll get a tinge of yellow on even the other type of plastic because of the coating.
Yeah.
It's more
Well, anyway-
that gray part is similar to the controller that you can also see in the image.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What?
yeah, right there. That controller
Yeah.
back there, which is not even for the right thing. How it almost, due to the discoloring of the light filter, looks yellow. It's reflecting the light from the top. That
Right.
if you were to take that palette and move it to where the gray is,
Yeah.
the gray is discolored on ours from smoking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, have you heard of the 8-bit guy?
No.
He is a YouTuber, and he does restorations, and he does these. So he'll get something like this. Typically, it'll be computers, like a VIC-20 or something. And he uses this thing called Retro Bright. So
Oh.
he'll take apart the whole thing, obviously, take all the electronics out. So it's just the plastic case. And he puts it in it's essentially hydrogen peroxide. It's a water and hydrogen peroxide solution.
Yeah.
And he puts it out in the sun. It has to be in the sun. And he'll leave it out in the sun like all day long. And it'll restore it back to like the original color. It's amazing. Something called Retro Bright. It's a sort of a recent last couple of years, someone came up with this magical solution that does it. Yeah, I've taken to watching 8-bit guy restorations.
That's pretty
I
cool.
mean, he will take a computer that's disgusting, that's just like got cat hair and goop and stuff all in it, and he'll go in with like a Q-tip, and it'll be like mint condition at the end. Like you couldn't even tell that it's not just like right off the line from 1980.
Do you know what type of plastic causes that browning?
I don't know offhand.
I don't know off the top of my head, but I remember it was a very common type of plastic, because some old computers were just beige, like they were actually made beige, that was a common color. But then there were some that were like slightly grayish white, but they would become beige over time, and I think it's because they were made of the same type of plastic on the outside.
Yeah, they typically be here, like this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Which is,
and
it's
they
kind
would
of a
start to
beige
beige
color.
over time,
Yeah.
even like they would brown.
Which hopefully this won't turn yellow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it. You know, I'm sure. Oh my god! Look at all that! Look at all that dust! Oh my
Yeah, it's
god!
very dusty in there.
Jeez, I need to dust this room. I think it depended. Like I'm sure it was mostly all from China, and probably depended on a particular mix of chemicals in the particular factory.
Oh, probably, yeah.
And so that's why like parts of an SNES might not discolor because that might have come from a different source, and they put them all together. And yeah, I don't know. But yeah, most
Yeah,
computers.
it was so
used to
common
be
that, like in my head, I just think like all computers in the past were just beige.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beige with black screens and green letters. It's like the only image of an old computer that's in my head.
And that's why I bet most computers today are like black.
Probably.
It's like, okay, that can't, it can't discolor because it's, it's already black.
Well, black things can brown, but it depends what's doing it. So, like, certain things can bleach blacks to brown because most of what you do to dye things black involves just, like, mixing heavy browns until it's so dark that it's something else.
Or they come in aluminum.
Yeah.
Of course, this, it's funny because, like where your hands rest here and here, this gets discolored. But usually, if you just run a damp cloth over it, it'll come off. But yeah, even the aluminum gets discolored.
Like, do you know what tends to fade black away the fastest? Sunlight. I've got pants, right? Obviously, it's different types of dyes, but similar process to dyeing fabric that you have to do when mixing plastics. That just happens during the mixing phase as opposed to dyeing fabric afterwards. But I have a lot of black pants that have been bleached kind of like really dark brown. And people are like, man, you should wash your pants. They're starting to look brown. I'm like, it's not dirt. And I'll lift up my shirt because there's like a line where the shirt hangs past the pants. And it'll be just like the original jet black above the shirt line because the sun never touches that. And it's like, my pants aren't dirty. They're just permanently bleached that way. Unless I were to dye them black again, nothing's changing.
Yeah. Well, luckily I got my computer under the desk, so it never sees sunlight. But yeah, if anyone wants to restore, a computer or a console that looks all yellow like that, look up Retrobrite. It's good stuff, apparently.
Yeah.
But you do have to be in a warm climate, a warm, sunny climate, because apparently it requires.
I got no
sunlight
problem with that.
Yeah.
I think we're back in the triple digits again. If not, we will be this week.
Oh, it's getting cooler here.
Yeah, oh, we're not yet. It's only 97, but apparently sometime this week we're hitting triple digits again. This upcoming one.
Well, maybe I spoke too soon. It's currently 80 degrees at 7 o'clock in the evening.
Well, that sounds cool to me.
Yeah. And in the 90s most of the week. But can't wait to go see what it's like in Phoenix this time of year.
Oh, ooh. Well, I mean, it's horrible heat-wise, but at least, again, it's a dry heat for the most part. It's...
it's usually not
dry heat.
Yeah, it's usually not too bad because, like in August, it'll be like 100, which isn't too bad if it's dry. When it gets up to 120, it fucking doesn't matter what the humidity is.
Yeah,
it still feels like an oven.
But at least, like for the most part, before 120, if you have a fan on in a dry heat, you can kind of be okay because at least you're not pulling hot, moist air into your face. You're just,
Yeah. You're just pulling hot air.
Yeah.
It's funny because air Air conditioners, though, work much better in Phoenix than they do like here, because that damn thing will like the trip pan just like fills up with water so fast,
Yeah.
and it actually gets the air filter all wet, which is annoying. It makes me have to change.
Also,
it more
depending on how dry it is or where atmosphere conditions, you can't even use traditional air conditioning in some heat climates. I mean, it's gotten better than it used to be, so there's a lot of modern air conditioning you use. But I remember being back in El Paso for a little bit. The building we were in, because we were helping a church out that was like very small budget. We were on a mission. We had to sleep in a room that had a swamp cooler because the building couldn't have traditional air conditioning due to the mixture of the pressure and how dry it was. So it actually had to have like liquid cooling inside the AC just for it to operate.
Wow. But yeah, I noticed in Phoenix, the air conditioners are always very efficient because there's hardly any water in the air. So
yeah, the swamp cooler is fine if you weren't directly underneath it, right? Like if it was just ambiently filling a room. All the guys, everybody was cramped in a room together. So like all the girls were in one room, all the guys were in one room. We were like on the floor. Some people had air mattresses. Some people were just in sleeping bags. But I was positioned directly underneath the swamp cooler, and even had to miss service one day because I got sick from the moisture just coming straight down on me all night while I was sleeping. Yeah.
Yuck.
I basically had to move positions after that, and nobody was allowed to sleep in that spot. They didn't realize that cold moisture all night was, which, I mean, common sense should have told you, but I was a teenager. The cold moisture all night was going to cause somebody to get sick. Yeah.
Interesting.
And this Final Fantasy music, specifically from Final Fantasy IV, is actually reminding me of the last thing we could talk about for today.
Okay.
Which we might go a few minutes over anyway, just because of the disconnect. But we got more information on the next stuff coming in Final Fantasy XIV, which a lot of it is Final Fantasy IV themed. And I was kind of worried that they were going to drop the ball on some stuff, as they have been a little bit here and there. Mostly from my very, very picky, longtime Final Fantasy fan perspective. Most people have no problem with what they've been doing with the game. But like, I was upset where I went to the Tower of Zot, and it had like the normal music for the Tower of Zot the whole time until you get to the boss fights, and then it's just the Endwalker boss theme instead of like a remix of the Final Fantasy IV boss theme. Or how when I got to the moon, another moon wasn't playing.
I thought I saw a naked guy outside my window, but
Oh,
I think
that's
he just
interesting.
I think he just didn't have a shirt on.
Well, it's slightly less interesting. But they showed off, and apparently the Four Fiends are going to be some of the next things happening. We kind of already knew this. I saw Golbez in like the last MSQ thing. So there's going to be a dungeon called the Fell Court of Troya. There's going to be a boss after it. Some of the pictures they already showed, I saw like the Evil Dreamer enemies from 4 in there. Like I recognized them immediately. And they showed off the trial. And the second they were showing off the dungeon to trial, you just hear like the and then the dreadful fight, the battle with the Four Fiends start playing. And Scarmiglione is going to be the next big boss that you end up fighting. And I was just so happy that I was upset they weren't going to play the battle with the Four Fiends. I was really, really like being prepared to be upset that they weren't going to have that in the game because of some of the other music that they dropped out. But it sounded so nice. His redesign looks so cool as well. Trying to give him like the imagery and stuff.
The 6.2 patch?
Yes, it's going to be 6.2. This next patch.
All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah, if you want.
Hold up. Was that it? Yeah. Partial nudity. Oh my god.
Always.
Yeah. some of the enemies in a screenshot on this page earlier. I was like, oh, that's from Final Fantasy IV.
Yeah.
Recognize that? Like the weird faces with the tongue sticking out.
Yeah, the evil dreamers, right?
There you
They
go,
kind
yeah.
of looked more like Spirit Fire, but they
Yeah.
still kind of had the same look. There was clearly horn-like things coming out. They had the tongue and stuff. They were the same
Yeah.
color. Like you could 1-to-1 if you played the game, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Is this
dungeon's
the
going
one
to be
that-
called the Felcourt de Troya.
Okay.
It's going to take place in the Void.
Is this the one that shows the four fiends?
Yeah, well, it'll show one of them. Like there was the thing. There's Scarmiglione, and he had said in an interview that the weakest
Oh,
fiend was
yeah.
going to show up first.
I recognize that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forgot what he looked like. Yeah.
Because at first he was like, he looked smaller because he was curled up inside of his cloak. But
Yeah,
then after he
cloak,
falls
yeah.
off the bridge and comes up, he shows like the.
Yeah.
I always thought they were tusks at first until I saw like Amano's drawn art. It's like, oh, they're supposed to be like tentacles. And it kind of makes sense because even though he's the fiend of earth, he's heavily like poison and decay. He's kind of like pestilence, I guess would be a.
like cancer
way.
almost, like,
Yeah.
with the tentacles.
And it makes sense. Unlike the first time that you see actually the first two times that the four fiends show up, because there's a kind of a four fiends in 3 as well. The four fiends in 4 were called the four elemental lords, and they were more akin to the four horsemen than anything else.
Are those little bunny guys playable?
No, they're not. A lot of people wish they were. I doubt they'll be added because that would basically make spoilers from the start of the game if you made them playable characters for new players.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they're not native to Eorzea, so you wouldn't. Yeah, but those are the Loporits, as they call them, or Loporits. They're the bunnies on the moon. You would know them in 4 as the Hummingways.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are the naming ways?
Well, Naming Way was a Hummingway, right?
I
Because when
see.
you go to the 4, it's called the Hummingway Home, and there's all kinds of Hummingways there, and they have that little song. That was a giant carbuncle,
Okay.
which was I dropped that image in our server earlier. It's called the Proto Carbuncle because Carbuncle is like really small and cute for the Arcanists now. But this takes place in the past before the worlds got severed into 13 reflections. So that big thing is Proto Carbuncle. Yeah. Which it kind of looks a little bit more like the way Carbuncle looked in the like 5 and 6 as a summon when it first showed up,
Yeah.
as
So
opposed to the cute thing you see now.
Is this the in this trailer? Do they play the Battle of the?
Oh,
Four
they
Fiends?
did. Yeah.
I'll have to
Right
listen to it.
before Scarmiglione showed up, there you saw like there was like some pixelization of the screen. That's when they did the brr, brr, brr thing, and then the thing played after it. But there's your evil dreamers.
Yeah. That's what I was looking at earlier.
There was another reference in the live letter. I actually, because I'm usually up at that time anyway, I stayed up and watched the entire live letter, piecing together what Japanese I could, also taking context clues from the chat. But they showed off the island sanctuary, which was the very first thing that was in that trailer. And there's going to be this huge, and I mean huge island. It's bigger than most in like normal zones in the game that you can go to. It's private. It's an independent thing, but you can invite up to 15 other players there with you, so 2 parties worth.
Cool.
And you could just all the progress there is not related to the progress in the rest of the game. You can bring aesthetic stuff back with you, like clothing, mounts, minions. But you can't bring anything there. It's not a replacement to housing, but it's going to kind of be like a explorative Animal Crossing. And I wouldn't use Animal Crossing as a direct one-to-one, but it's kind of like there's a town builder aspect to it a little bit, island exploration.
It's not going to be like the World of Warcraft garrison or anything. or is it kind
No,
of
no, it's not going to be the garrison. The only things on the island with you, other than like the animals and stuff that live there, are mammoths, which are the dolls, right? I think they're first called mammoths in 11, but the first time you see a doll appear as like Vivi and his stuff in 9, they just didn't have a proper name for them as like a type of thing yet. There's a bunch of them on the island, and one of the dolls actually looked like Rafia as a devout in Final Fantasy III, which was like
With
a
the
reference
ears.
I got right away. Yeah, it's to get like a hood with the ears, little like red lock of hair coming down and stuff. It looked just like her. A lot of people are trying to say Arc. I'm like, no, because the outfit, all the boys, their little top thing cropped up here, and then it went into like a normal short and then pants. This thing kind of went down like a dress. It's clearly supposed to be Rafia. You people in the chat don't understand it. You don't know anything about Final Fantasy. Get out of here.
The original Final Fantasy 3, they didn't have names, did they?
No, they did not. That stuff was added for the 3D version. They were just 4 Onion Knights. It still went along the same path. It just really wasn't storied, right? You were just like, oh, these people are missing. They've been turned into like, not even shades or anything. They're like empty outlines of people. It's like there's a space where a person should be, but there's nothing there. And then in the
you mean when the Jin
remake.
steals?
Yeah, there's just an outline of people there.
Yeah.
Which is just mostly to let you know that it's like an empty space. There's a void. There was a person there, and like the essence or the void of the person is still there, but the actual person's gone. Which I thought is a very interesting idea, because it's the only way you can depict something that otherwise is like cosmic horror. And then you return them by defeating the Jinn and bringing the crystal back into balance. But they added more story elements to the Onion Knights by giving them personalities, relating Rafia to the blacksmith who was missing, and so on and so forth, which I thought was nice. That's one of the few games where I'm like, if you're going to play any version of the game, you actually should play the 3D version, because it feels like the way the game should have been from the beginning. And I know the Pixel remaster, I don't think actually has that. It's literally the original, which is for Onion Knights. I think when they made the Pixel remaster, they should have redid the beginning to have those characters, because it's just a fuller story that way.
Yeah, it's weird because I had only ever played, well, I mean, most people in the US had only ever played the 3D remake.
Yeah, very few people like me had played like fan translation emulator hacks and like ROM hacks and stuff,
Right. So when I played the Pixel remaster, it was weird because you start in the same cave at the beginning, except you got 4 characters, whereas in the remake you only had 1. You started off with just 1.
Yeah, and then you quickly get your second one, because as soon as you leave the cave and go back to the town, Ark is there, and then you pick up Rafia a town later, and then when you get to the castle, Ingus is there.
Yeah.
But none of them are in the game, technically. It's just 4 Onion Knights.
Right, at the beginning you have to give them all names. Which was like, okay, wait, what were their names? Oh, yeah, I'm going to name them the
Lunith, Ark,
correct
Rafia,
name.
Ingus. Yeah.
Right, I always give them those names.
And what's even funnier, too, so the standardized titles for Final Fantasy exist now, but they didn't back when the games were first made. The logos for Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, and 4 all looked radically different from each other. I mean, the font was kind of the same for 1 and 4 in America, but if you look at like the other versions of, or 1 and 2 as we saw it, if you look at the other versions though, it's like there's the font for 1. Then 2 has its own font. Then 3 has its own font, and like the numbers are done differently. So people didn't realize there was no character image related with any of the older logos. Like 1 had a picture of like spheres, or one version had the earth behind it or whatever, with like a scepter and a sword crossing.
Yeah, didn't it have like the castle or something behind?
There's like 3 different boxes for 1.
Yeah.
And then 2 had like, I think it was the first time you see an airship on a cover because of the Emperor's airship Alexander. And then 3, I don't even remember it was on the cover, the original cover of 3, looking back at images. But now they all have like a character image done by a mono that is like a color with a standardized logo, and you'll see Lunith there. But obviously Lunith couldn't have been associated with 3 originally because he didn't exist.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because, like, if you look it up. Okay, yeah. So the original Final Fantasy had the sword and the axe, and like, is that like supposed to be the floating fortress? Floating.
Yeah, there's a version that had the flying fortress from
That's it.
with
Yeah.
Tiamat in it. Yeah, I think that's the NA version that we got.
And then, but if you search for Final Fantasy 3,
You're
you
only
get
going to see like the modern Lunith
6. Well,
logo.
first of all,
one
you
too.
get Final
Yeah, there's
Fantasy
the 6th one. Yeah,
3 in the US with the little Moogle. But yeah, then you see the one with Lunith. I even searched for original Final Fantasy 3 box.
probably have to type Famicom for that.
Well, now wait a minute. So the Famicom one looks like it has Lunith on it too.
Yeah, but Lunith didn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'm not getting the right images.
Yeah.
You Google.
Because all there would be was the Onion Knight. Which you go back and you can see Amano's original images for the Onion Knight, and it doesn't look that different from like how the Onion Knight is drawn now. Yeah.
They've scrubbed it from the internet.
Yeah, scrubbed it from history. Or just SEO is awful for trying to find something that was pretty obscure in the first place.
Yeah, and then has like 3 different names because, well...
Yeah.
Oh, wait, is this it? No. Oh, here's Final Fantasy 2. You want to see what that looked like?
Yeah, let me see that one.
How do I open this? How long is we're playing around?
Mm-hmm.
How do I...
Oh, there we go.
Dark Shadow over Palakia?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Wait a minute. This is a North America cartridge.
That is a North American cartridge.
I wonder if they were planning on bringing it.
Maybe. Well, they were planning on bringing it. Remember, the reason they jumped to 4 being 2 here wasn't because they didn't want to bring 2. The translation was taking so long that by the time that it would have been finished, the Super Nintendo would have already been launched. Yeah. So they just went to begin translating 4 instead.
Yeah. Whereas
because it was already late that we got the first Final Fantasy compared to when it came out in Japan.
Yeah, here it is again.
Yeah.
Like a sword.
No, wait. Click on that. Wait, go back to that one. Now over there at the top right corner.
Oh, here you go.
Yeah. There we go.
Oops.
Now this looks more like I remember these when I was looking this stuff up. I think
this I remember.
I remember that one. I remember having a sphere and an orb there. That was like the first thing I remember. And then you have the flying fortress in there. So I think 2 and 3 originally had closer logos to each other.
Yeah. They look similar.
That would be so interesting. Can you imagine if that actually became the logo format for Final Fantasy going forward, where the sword was the T? That would be, I don't know, totally different.
Yeah. Interesting. Finally, you figured it out.
Yeah, but I remember it's like, no, the original couldn't have Lunith. He didn't exist yet.
Right.
Yeah.
It's weird that it has a broken sword. What's that all about? I don't remember that being in the game.
Well, I mean, if you look at aside from the fortress, which I like the thing about the 2, if you look at that, it actually has the logo for 1 on it. or like the display cover, because that's the same sphere with the sword and the axe on the book.
Oh yeah. Can
Yeah,
barely
yeah.
see it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the covers have absolutely nothing to do with the game aside from the fact that there is a flying fortress inside of a sphere, which the original crystals were orbs.
Yeah.
Right, that's about it. All of them have like this D&D theme because Final Fantasy was heavily inspired by D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, what the heck? It looks like, is that like a snake or something going around the sword? I don't know.
Yeah.
That third one is weird. I don't know what they were thinking there.
I don't know what they were thinking in any of these, except for the first one. The first one's like, okay, D&D themed. I get this.
Yeah. Weird.
Yeah.
All right, I'll turn it off here.
Yeah. We found a mystery, and we found an answer.
Neat. Oops. I gotta try to get my screen.
But
back
yeah,
normal.
so I'm kind of excited for
Right.
the stuff to come in 14. The Island Sanctuary seems really fun. It's just too bad that it's going to be locked behind level 90 content. So like, even if I told somebody like, hey, you should buy the game because you're going to get to do this thing, they're going to have to go through like a month's worth of content just to catch up to being able to do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe I'll stream it when the Sanctuary comes out. I'll go running around in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. They were planning on localizing 2
Yeah.
and 3.
It was taking too long to translate, and like we already got one late. And what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Release 2 NES games after the SNES already comes out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what's the other option? Release a Final Fantasy 4 for the SNES, and people will be like, "What the hell? Where's 2 and 3?"
Yeah. And then, well, I mean, you know what? I think they should have. And
Yeah,
here's the reason
well,
why. Because you could put. Most people didn't want to. They thought it would look tacky. You could just put NES games on an SNES. Like, you could literally port them. It wasn't hard.
Yeah.
They could have just put both of them on a single cartridge and after 4 came out. Because people would be asking, where's 2 and 3? And when 2 and 3 come out on a single SNES cartridge, people would buy it. It's like, okay, I got to try this thing. I think the bigger sin, too, is that 5 never came out until the PlayStation era as well.
Yeah, because as much as there's some weird aspects that I didn't like about 5. It really is a much better job system than 3.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it couldn't exist without 3. You got to set
Yeah.
the foundation. But actually, the job system is great.
Yeah, 3 has its annoyances that I don't like.
Well, it's
as far as the
because
job.
they thought it was cool,
Yeah.
but there's too many jobs that are replacements for other jobs, which wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for the fact that every job has as many levels as a character does.
That's what I was going to say. There's
yeah.
too many goddamn job levels.
It's like 99, which is the actual level cap.
Yeah.
So it's like, I have to get black belt and monk to 99. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah. Whereas in 5, it's like some of the jobs you get them to like level 5 and it's maxed out. And it's like,
Yeah,
great,
each job has a rank for their job level, and each job is unique. There's not a job that really does what another one does. Aside from like Red Mage, it's kind of white, kind of black, but that's just the nature of being a Red Mage. They balanced everything really well with the job system in 5. And that's probably why things like Bravely Default and stuff use that going forward.
Yeah, so that is a shame, especially since that was an SNES game. Why couldn't they release it?
I don't know. I'm guessing it was taking too long to translate. I don't. But they managed to get 6 out as 3, but did barely because the N64 was already out when 6 was released for the SNES.
Yeah. So these translators, I want to go back in time and be like, get off your ass, because I mean, I could probably translate. If I spoke Japanese,
I've got bigger complaints with these translators, specifically Ted Woolsey, who is the guy in charge of it. I've got all kinds of complaints for Final Fantasy for Ted Woolsey that have literally nothing to do with time. In fact, if he did a direct translation, it probably wouldn't have taken as long and they could have gotten him out. There are so many Woolseyisms in the game still, though some of them are great. I mean, we wouldn't have you Spoony Bard without him. But then it's just like Tina to Terra. Like, Gilbert to Edward. Like, where do you... Woolsey.
Oh well. All right, we're way.
Yeah, I
over.
think that's... Yeah, we're way over. That's good for the show. You had to make up for the crash. Thank you all for coming. If you enjoyed the show, please share it out with somebody else who would also enjoy it, help us grow. And if you really enjoy the show, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/vomitorium live, as you will see on the bottom of the screen. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye-bye.
Now, if I can only find the mouse. There we go.
Adventures always.